When I talk about the pre-cult personality, and that's when I do meet with people that are still in the group in voluntary interventions, that's the person I'm trying to access. And I'm basing the assumption that the person is still there that cared about her friends outside the group, and the person's still there that, loves her family dog and still has a connection with her grandma. It's almost a beautiful thing when you see somebody come out of one of these groups, because the cult personality sort of gets layered on. It's almost like they're running malware.
You are tuning in to the Multiversity, a podcast for higher dimensional education.
Join us as we explore philosophy, science, history, and the great unknown.
It's interesting you mentioned the personalities, though, because there was a study done on our group and the Unification Church and a couple of others afterwards. And the people that did the study based it on the Myers-Briggs, the different personality types in the Myers-Briggs. And what they did, they interviewed people that were in, people who had left about, and they asked them what type they were before they joined and what type they were while they were in, and that type of thing. And what they found was that people in our group they all gravitated toward becoming ESFJ, which is emotional, sensing, feeling, and judging.
Extroverted sensing.
Extroverted, sensing, feeling, and judging. And which is like the personality type for the ultimate salesperson, which was the perfect personality for our group to further the cause of the grouut.
So you said people sort of gravitated towards that personality after joining?
They did, because they had asked them what their personality was like before joining and what they aspired to be while they were in, how they would have answered these questions while they were in, and they gravitated toward that personality type. In our group, you were not so subtly praised for emulating your leaders in the way they looked and the way they dressed and the way they talked, because they were more successful in recruiting and getting more people in, getting more people saved than you were. So everybody was kind of moving toward this one personality type. It was creepy.
Did they find that there was any correlation or like patterns in what types of personality types tended to be attracted to the group in the first place?
They didn't at that point, but I'll tell you anecdotally, and this is something that I've just learned through 30 years of experience of being on the other end of answering these emails and talking to people, and it's my own personal experience. The family I grew up in, it was a loving family in many ways, but I had alcoholism in my family, and it was chaotic in many ways. And what I found is it's a huge percentage of the people that I end up talking to that join these groups have something like that in their family and in their background. And the only thing I can figure is if your family of origin is a little bit chaotic and crazy, and there's some deception and lying and the things that go on in an alcoholic family or a family where there's drug addiction, you get into one of these groups where there's deception and manipulation and stuff, and it feels good. It kind of feels like home. And so, I've noticed the correlation, because a lot of ex-cult members, end up going to adult children of alcoholics and some of these different support groups to help them recover. And so I do think there's things in your past that can help ready you to be a good candidate for one of these groups.
I guess maybe one quick question. John, earlier you brought up the concept of pre-cult personality. And I'm not totally sure what my question is, but that just really intrigued me. And I guess do you have any kind of additional thoughts on the relationship between, like psychologically, between the person that someone is before they join the cult and this personality that you're talking about, this ESFJ tending personality that they tend to build while they're in the cult, and then what happens after?
Well, I guess I'll try to let me know if I'm not answering your question. But when I talk about the pre-cult personality, and that's when I do meet with people that are still in the group in voluntary interventions, that's the person I'm trying to access. And I'm basing the assumption that the person is still there that cared about her friends outside the group, and the person's still there that, loves her family dog and still has a connection with her grandma and her dad and still cares about, basketball or writing or music or whatever she cared about before she joined. And that's always proven to be true, just through experience, that it's almost a beautiful thing when you see somebody come out of one of these groups, because the cult personality sort of gets layered on. It's almost like they're running malware. And it's they're talking and they're happy and they're upbeat and they're this and that and they're rah-rah cult. But when you see them come out of it, you see the real them again, And I didn't get to see the real them before because I'm usually meeting them for the first time, but it's usually in a family setting, and it's powerful because the person is back there that they were, and it provides a lot of hope to me. It's very hopeful that no matter how powerful these groups are, they can't really do permanent damage. They can't take who you are away. So not sure if I answered your question or not, but that's what I was talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good. Do you feel like when people adopt these ideologies and get into this kind of groupthink that it does maybe it happens so fast that it's not fully integrated into their personality, but like you said, it's just kind of this layer on top?
Maybe, that's the way I've looked at it. And that's just a model I've worked from when I've talked to people that are still in, that it just helps me to remember when I'm talking to them and they're coming back at me with profanity or telling me I'm the devil or I'm a deprogrammer or I'm this or that I know that's not really them. It's who they've become in the group, and I look at it as really just like I said, it's malware running on top of the real person. And it helps me to have compassion for them even when they're swearing at me.
Thank you for joining us on the Multiversity. We hope you found this episode both mind-bending and enjoyable.
We can be found all over the social media space and at multiversitypodcast.com.
If you like this content, give us a like, comment, follow, share, or support us on Patreon.
Catch you on the flip side.